This is Pat Soundbites Unplugged. Unplugged. The podcast where all the artists go to tell it as it is. Careers, music, tours, and more. And here's your host, the man that refuses to eat squid, Pat Calamari.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Pat Soundbites Unplugged podcast. Pat Calamari here, your host. As always, thank you for what you do in subscribing, liking, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, well, now more Twitter, X, I guess, and certainly very much appreciative on my YouTube channel. Episode number 213, and it's another ticket giveaway. I got 5 pairs of tickets to give away, and I'll tell you what to do in a minute. Because I just had a phone call chat with Dave Fowler of the Australian Pink Floyd Show. And the Australian Pink Floyd Show is coming to the Capitol Theater in Port Chester, New York on September 21st. So if you're available, you get a chance to win one of the 5 pairs of tickets to see this incredible show. Since the beginning in 1988, the Australian Pink Floyd Show is perhaps the ultimate and most authentic Pink Floyd tribute band in the world. Their incredible live shows celebrate Pink Floyd's music at the highest level possible and are intently theatrical with mind-blowing production and unsurpassed sound. They are true to the vision and sound of the legendary Pink Floyd in every way possible. I mean, come on. The Australian Pink Floyd Show is so authentic to the vision of the original Pink Floyd that Pink Floyd guitarist David Gilmour asked them to perform at his 50th birthday party, along with various other members of the real Floyd band. How cool is that? Well, this band is incredible. They just did a tour not too long ago celebrating the 50th anniversary of Dark Side of the Moon, and now they're going to do a lot of the Dark Side of the Moon as well as all the other hits. So you want to go check that out. I talked to one of the guitarists, Dave Fowler. Dave's pretty cool cat. We talk about how he got involved when he joined this band and a whole lot more. So if you want to get a chance to win one of the 5 pairs of tickets, well, you know the deal. You need to like this post on my Instagram, Facebook, and, of course, YouTube. You need to go to Instagram and follow me there and follow me on YouTube. And you need and follow... and don't forget to follow the Australian Pink Floyd Show. Very important. And then you need to comment. I'll give you the initials because no sense of typing out the whole thing. But the initials is T as in Tom, A as in Adam, P as in Paul, F as in Frank, S as in Sam. And that stands for the Australian Pink Floyd Show. You read that in the comment section. And you please make sure that you're available to attend the show on Thursday night in Port Chester on September 21st, and you will be entered to win one of the pair of 5 tickets. So there you have it. Okay, you know what to do. Go ahead and do it. I will pick a winner probably Wednesday, so you have a day in advance. And we'll go from there. As always, live, love, and laugh a lot, because life is way too short. Pat Calamari rocking your Friday with a little Pink Floyd, and that is money. And speaking of Pink Floyd, we got the Australian Pink Floyd Show heading here to New York to the Capitol Theater. They are perhaps the ultimate and most authentic Pink Floyd tribute band in the world, and I mean that by all. And I got Dave on the line with us, our rock and roll phone. He is the guitarist of this great Australian Pink Floyd Show band. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Not too bad, sir. Hey, man, this is pretty cool to see that this is listed as probably the best, if not the best, the highest level of a Pink Floyd tribute band in the world. Dave, what I always start out with before we get into any of that is where did you find your love for music? How did that all start for you?
Well, my love for music, I mean, my mum and dad would play a lot of music when I was growing up. I think the first love I ever had musically was Simon and Garfunkel.
Wow.
And then I got a guitar and started to sort of strum along and learn some chords. And then sometime when I was about 12 years old, a friend of mine's sister put on Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 and said, "Can you learn how to play that solo?" And I listened to it and thought, I've got no idea how that goes. And I tried my best. Did a really bad job of it, but I was 12. And since then, I've got better and started to enjoy Pink Floyd. You know, it's just the way it happened.
Very cool. Well, this band's celebrating 30 plus years. When did you start in the band, Dave?
13 years ago, end of 2010, I joined.
And what were you doing before you get this phone call to join this incredible band?
Well, I had a recording studio in London. I used to record and produce bands a lot, and I also had a computer company. We used to write software and bits and pieces, and I did a bit of both. I'm a geek when it comes to computers, but I also love music, so I kind of kept my hand in with both and made sure I always had an income from that. And then the band came along, and obviously the chance to play guitar rather than record others playing guitar seemed like a good idea.
It sounds like a great idea. Travel and see the world, and I mean, how can you go wrong playing tunes from Dark Side of the Moon 50th anniversary? I mean, that's insane. Certainly, without hesitation, one of the greatest albums of all times. And the more I listen to it, you know, to think back in the early 70s of the creativity and the imagination and the experimentation of, you know, some of these tracks is insane. I mean, the more I listen to, you know, Money or Time or Breathe or any of it, it's like, you know, and I never knew not too long, maybe a couple of years ago, that Alan Parsons played such a big role in you know, multi-tracking these recordings and tape loops and analog synthesizers and coming up with all this wonderful, well, I call noise, but great music out of it. I think that's pretty cool.
I think in general, back in those days, you know, the people who were sort of engineers and sometimes called themselves producers were like an extra member of the band, you know, because what you did with the technology was so important to how the final product sounded that, you know, unless the band were doing that themselves, they really had to credit the other person for putting so much. I mean, you had George Martin with the Beatles, and
right.
And I'm old to remember when I had my studio starting on tape machines, and yeah, how much of the sound of the final output was decided by the sort of the engineer and producer, really. It's so he made a massive impact on that. But of course, the band wrote the music and the lyrics and whatever, so you can't take away from that either. It's just a great collaboration.
Oh my goodness, absolutely a great collaboration. Have you seen the band before you joined? Have you gone to a show and said, wow, check this out?
Yeah, I saw them loads of times. I first saw them when I was 17. I saw them at a small venue called Blackheath Concert Halls, in Blackheath, obviously, in London. And that was really good. And it was a venue that I used to play with my band as a teenager as well, so it was really nice to see them there. And in my band at the time, we also did some Floyd covers, so I remember looking at them going, I could do that. I could be very arrogant, 17 years old.
We're talking to Dave. He's one of the guitarists in the Australian Pink Floyd world's best tribute band coming to the Capitol Theatre next Thursday. Is there a favorite song for you that you just love to perform when you get on the stage to do the show?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the whole of Dark Side's amazing, but leaving aside that, because that's pretty obvious, I think when we do See Emily Play, which is their second ever single from the Sid Barrett days, and it's only 2.5 minutes long, and it's sort of like 50-50. About half the crowd will know it and half the crowd don't know it. But it's really quite punky and upbeat, and it's only short, and people really get into it, because if they don't know it, they're like, wow, what's this? This is really cool. And it's over in a flash compared to, some of the really long Floyd songs. And then for the ones that know it, they're like, yes, they played something this old, So that's a personal favourite of mine. I get to slide my guitar up and down a mic stand and be a little bit punky for a couple of minutes. But the other songs, I mean, obviously we do, Shine On, parts 1 to 5, Wish You Were Here. They're all wonderful. I'm really enjoying doing Pigs at the moment from Animals as well.
Nice.
So there's a whole wide spectrum of other songs other than Dark Side that we're covering.
Excellent. Well, and the production, Dave, I mean, that's got to be insane. The lighting, the sound, the inflatables. I mean, you guys bring it all to the shows, from what I understand. I'm looking forward to that next Thursday. Can you describe what it's like to be on the stage, be on the other side of seeing what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's the lights and the lasers certainly are. I say that we're like the orchestra, but we're not in an orchestra pit. But we're like an orchestra that should be in an orchestra pit, playing the music for the show, and the show is not us. The show is the lights and the lasers, and of course the video, which is some songs have video, some don't. But where they're in, it tells the story of the song. It's very closely linked to the lyrics and all of that. It's just a pleasure to stand there and have all this stuff going on. You don't really get an idea of how good it looks when you're on the stage, and then whenever I film a show and then I look back at it, I go, oh wow, that light that I just see travelling across my foot or gets in the way and annoys me at that moment actually looks amazing. Tom, our lighting designer, he does such a good job with the lights.
Go ahead, Dave.
And in a way that Alan Parsons was like an extra member, Tom is like an extra member, because it's people might be listening to us, but they're watching his work mostly,
Gotcha. I read that David Gilmour attended one of the shows, and he liked what this band, does, and had him play at his 50th birthday party.
That's true, yeah. I mean, that was before my time, but as you can imagine, it doesn't happen that often. So they've talked about it a few times. Yeah, so it was 20. Wasn't even 20. It was 1994, believe it or not, that David Gilmour first came and saw the band at the Fairfield Halls in Croydon, just outside London, and he really enjoyed it. He originally booked the band to play the after-show party at Earl's Court in what they call the Earl's Court 2 venue after they did their big run of gigs for the Division Bell tour. But unfortunately, there were sort of various technical and noise limitations that wouldn't allow them to have a live band in the Earl's Court 2 room. So he changed the booking and said, well, sorry, you couldn't do that one, I'll be in touch. And then got in touch and said, can you play my 50th birthday party? So obviously they went along and did that, and the rest is history. It was a very scary night, from what I understand. A lot of people very nervous, but what an honour.
Yeah, I mean, how many tribute bands can say? I mean, I've interviewed a bunch of them, a lot of Queen ones, and obviously, Freddie's passed away. But has Brian or Roger come to any of the shows, or anybody acknowledge? And not really, but
I don't know. Well, Brian and Roger have said funny enough, you bring them. They've said very nice things about us. I've never really hear them talk much about tribute bands, but when they were putting together the Queen Extravaganza, which is their official tribute band to Queen, that Queen actually used their name and back, they were actually doing interviews. I saw these in the UK. They may have done them around the world, but going on breakfast shows and stuff and saying, "Oh, we're putting together the Queen Extravaganza to be the Queen equivalent of the Australian Pink Floyd Show."
Wow!
They were literally just saying our name, which was really, really nice at the time. I've met Brian a couple of times. He's a very nice guy, and very, very respectful.
Yeah, I mean, if that doesn't put the cherry up on top, I don't know what is. Dave, let me ask you about, I'm not a musician, but my listeners always asking me, ask some gear questions. So, as a guitarist, what's your go-to guitar when you hit the stage, or tell me what you're working on? You got a Les Paul or a Gibson? What do you use?
Oh man, I've got so many guitars that I use. I think around 8 guitars in the show, maybe 9, I can't remember, but I've got a 1958 Fender Strat, I've got a 1963 Fender Strat, and at the moment I'm actually using the 63 more than the 58. There's 2 or 3 songs that I use the 58 for, and then the rest are on the 63. I've also got a 1954 Telecaster.
Nice.
Which is they're all original. These are real proper vintage instruments. And then I've got a 1959 Les Paul Junior that I use for money, because you can get up really high on that and let that scream out. And then the rest of them are sort of, I've got a 54 reissued Les Paul with the P90s to do another Brick in the Wall Part 2 on. And then I've got a 6-string acoustic, 12-string acoustic, and a nylon acoustic, depending on, for High Hopes, Welcome to the Machine, Wish You Were Here, the various different acoustic bits. And there's also a high-strung acoustic, which I've got, which Chris actually plays. When he's sort of singing in the middle, he plays that on a couple of songs that need that. So there's a lot of guitars going on over my side of the stage.
You got
and a lot of sort of guitars that you could sell and buy a house. They're kind of that level, which is just an obsession of mine. It's not a requirement for being in the band. I'm just a total guitar kid,
Well, I would guess your guitar tech is a busy person, back and forth, and making sure everything is set for the proper song, which is pretty cool. Do you use any pedal boards or any of that nature, or you just let them do what they got to do?
Yeah. We have pedal boards, guitar rigs, and stuff like that, and it's my pedal board. Well, it's not really. The pedal board just switches the patches, and the rack kind of has all the pedals in them with switches on. I have Pete Cornish, P1, P2. Got an old fuzz that's a simulation of an old fuzz. Simulation is the wrong word. What's the thing? It's a clone. That's the one where they're cloned an old fuzz. And lots of other really old pedals, but there's certain pedals that just, if they travel around on tour, they're going to break, particularly if they're 50 years old or something like that. So some of those have to be retired, and we have to use modern clones and modern versions of things to kind of get round the fact that this stuff won't travel and will just break in a truck, which you don't want to turn up at a gig and find out your guitar rig's gone wrong.
There you go. How's the tour going so far, and the reception that you're getting in the States here? I believe you're in Virginia tonight?
Yeah, no, it's going really well at the moment. It's just, it's really long as well. It's sort of like 50 odd dates overall, I think, in total. But we're about 30 something of the way through of them, and had a day off yesterday, so I'm not tired today. All feeling good.
Yeah, you guys are like Virginia tonight, North Carolina tomorrow, another North Carolina on Sunday, and then you get a few days off to travel up here to Rochester, and then we get to see you down Thursday night in Portchester. Get the tickets today. There's not a lot left from what I have been able to look at. You can go to Ticketmaster, you can go to thecapitaltheater.com, or you can check AussieFloyd.com and check out all about Dave and the bandmates Chris Barnes and company, and their videos and their pictures and their history. And I know they're heading to Canada at the end of the month after they take a little bit of a break from the States. So all good, Dave. I appreciate your time, and we are looking forward to a little Australian Pink Floyd next Thursday night.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I will see you there. It's always lovely to play New York, and might even make a trip into the city for an hour or so. Have a look round.
Why not?
It'll be lovely.
Excellent. Well, there you go. Time to rock a little more Pink Floyd from Dark Side of the Moon. How about a little Us and Them celebrating the Australian Pink Floyd show coming to the Capitol Theater next Thursday night? Get your tickets today.